Huh.
So, power source number one, firewood. Uh, to me, especially where we live, it gets sub-zero, obviously, and having your own source of heating fuel is really important. Even though we have to buy it after we acquire it, it's here, and as long as we store it properly, it's just sitting there waiting for us to burn. It stores quite well. So that covers our heating power needs. So now power source number two. These are three 125 watt solar panels that are semi flexible. The kind they put on boats. They're really just supplemental, and they're kind of designed to be a mobile unit. The far left and center come together to make a case for the third one that sits on top of a roller case that's the nuts and guts for the whole thing here. Even this wasn't a mobile unit, I would always keep my solar panels on a ground setup. I see so many people around here that have solar panels on their roofs that get covered in snow, and the snow just kind of sits there for I don't really know how long, but as long as the snow's up there, you get no power. The nuts and guts of my solar power setup. Um, every solar power setup will have the similar configuration in a sense. You're gonna have your batteries, your breaker, and your inverter. I just made mine a lot smaller and a lot lower powered than what you're gonna want to use for an overall home setup. What I was really going for was just a charging setup for phones, laptops, and if we did have a full-on power outage, I could also maintain a thing like our wireless router. And I also keep this motorcycle battery charged as a jumper box, or I could use a smaller inverter for quick mobile power for like the time we had to get our garage door open in a power outage, or if like a neighbor maybe needed a little bit of power for something. It just creates a lot more flexibility with the overall solar setup that I have. I think another good use for solar, in just like a supplemental way, is a solar trickle charger. We picked one up about a year ago to hook up to our truck that we don't drive all too often, and it's been sitting the past 3 nights. It's a little rough. The solar panel I have hooked up to it's just a little 10 watt, and it's aimed in the south direction, so it gets good sun when the sun is out. But it gets dark really early in January in Michigan, and really most days it's kind of gray actually. It's like gray until dark. So today is kind of a rare and beautiful sunshiny day for Michigan. Fuel source number three, propane or gas. Although we live in the city, we've had more than a few power outages that have lasted more than a few days. The last time that happened, I was thinking it'd be a good idea to kind of put our own little power shack in, and I had to do some research and figure out the kind of power station I wanted to put in it. And I came up with this cool little dual fuel generator from Champion. I'll have a link in the description. And the nice thing about propane is it stores a lot better than gasoline. Gasoline can only last about a year if stored properly.
Where? Where?
And it's safer as long as your connections are actually connected. I unfortunately can't feel my hands very well today. But yeah, so when messing with propane, you got to make sure all your connections are super duper proper. But I still think gasoline versus propane, that propane's safer hands down. The exhaust is a lot safer. It's not that they say it's non-toxic, but I would say it's not as toxic. It still displaces oxygen. Um, and they say it's odorless, but I can kind of smell propane, but it's not nearly as offensive as gasoline. And this particular model has a pull start as well as a push button. But I'm trying to see if the propane will flow when it's this cold. Like little stoves, excuse me. It doesn't have to get that cold, and just the nature of the evaporation cooling everything down, it makes the gas just a liquid again, and it won't flow. So I'm hoping that won't happen here. But I actually have a much longer hose that I could, if I had to, put the tank inside while keeping the generator obviously outside and run it that way. but I really don't want to have to do that. Because as safe as propane may be, I still don't like a propane tank in my house. So yeah, I just have that ran up through that cable to a kind of quote-unquote distribution hub with some built-in lights. It's kind of a nice thing. Um, and then I have cable running underneath this eave here. I think it's about 14, 15 feet till it goes into the kitchen window, and that goes to another kind of quote-unquote distribution hub that will power pretty much everything we need to run during a power outage here in the house. And that's that. That's all the like backup power and supplemental power stuff I have hooked up. If you have any questions or comments, well, leave them in the comment section, and I will do my best to answer them and comment back. You can also leave comments and questions if you can find me on MeWe. My name is Daniel Bohemian over there. You'll see me in a canoe with a dog. Yeah, this is what you do in January in Michigan. Not what I want to do. This is what I'd much rather be doing right now. Finishing up this front end work I'm trying to figure out on the Super Cub so we can have some real adventures come this summer. Well, actually, probably this spring. That's what I'm really daydreaming about as I balance up here, harpooning my smokestack clean. Thanks again for watching. Um, Take care out there. Until next time.